continue your space fitting. You see how it's twisting here? Can you guys see that? How it's the seam allowance wants to twist this way? Make sure you push it back though, okay? It's okay if you have this going on this side. It's not going to affect you whatsoever. See that? So now you want to go to the iron because you want to make sure this is flat for the next step, the final step. The next step is attaching the shoulder to the shoulder. Okay. So we're gonna, you see how this is happening now like this? So what we want to do is that we want this to be clean finished, correct? So we know that we want to conjoin this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that I'm sewing it here. So this is how I want it to look, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to flip it over. And I know, without my facing, I know this belongs here, like this. Face to face, correct? My next step is very simple, very easy. If you notice, it lines up with my notch. You see that? That's why we have a notch. We're going to fold the facing over this way. And you can tell that it lines up with the notch that you have there if your facing is smaller. See that? So what I do is that I tend to do 2 stitches at a time because I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to sew down that part, making sure everything's lined up properly. Nothing's left out extra. You see how this is doming out? You want to make sure it's all lined up properly. To the edge. Does anybody know and remember the seam allowance to my half an inch? So it's gonna look like this. You see that? So if you don't feel comfortable folding it up right away, make sure you pin it.
That's facing to facing.
Excuse me?
Facing to facing.
Face to face the fabric. So you have the front at the bottom, and then you have your back with your facing face on top of the front, but with your facing open and your cowl flap open. So if you, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable just folding it, because what we will do, we would just fold it like that stitch and it's done, 1 stitch. But this is your first time, I recommend that you just line it up. You see how I'm lining it up right here at the edge? Making sure you don't have to do half, you can do quarter here. It's like if it was a security stitch, just to make sure you're doing it right. Okay, so then from there you're gonna pull this as much as you can to here, and you're gonna sew straight across. Make sure you're not seeing it. Flip this guy, which is your facing from your front, over the back, like this. This is where you want to start sewing your half an inch seam allowance. Go all the way to your half an inch seam allowance mark. Sew it across. Make sure you backstitch. Or at the edge of the back shoulder, and you're gonna fold it over like this. You see that?
Can you pick it up?
Oh yeah, sorry. So far you have your facing over your back like this. You see that? It's sandwiched. So we secured the first stitch on top that's smaller, which then it had a half an inch seam allowance, and then you're gonna fold over exactly at the edge, or if not on the notch, this guy over. But right now, this would be nice and clean.